Good afternoon and welcome to Stock Market Today. We're live from the Investors Business Daily Studios in Los Angeles. It's Justin Nielsen along with Ken Shreve. And Ken, we had a really fantastic day in terms of a lot of things moving. Very strong action on the indexes, but we did pull back at the end. We're going to talk about kind of some of the broad-based gains that we had. We're going to talk about Trex, Five9, and Kansas City Southern. You know, a little bit of something for everyone. But first, let's talk about the indexes. S&P 500 up 0.5%. Composite, NASDAQ Composite up about 0.7%. Dow Jones Industrials, that was up 0.6% despite that Boeing coming down. So a lot of strong action. Again, we did pull back a little bit from the highs at the final minutes here. What was going on?
Well, so we had new highs again for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. It was interesting late Tuesday afternoon. Futures really took a turn for the worse. They were down well over 1%, and that was on news of Iran missile strikes at some U.S. military bases in Iraq. By the time we came to today's open, all those losses had been paired on reports that damage was limited, and then President Trump spoke today, and then stocks rallied sharply after that. We had gains of 1%, and then some sellers come into the market late. Some unconfirmed reports that there were additional explosions as a result of this U.S.-Iran conflict, but nothing confirmed. But it did bring some sellers into the market late.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that pans out in tomorrow's action. It was one of those things where it was up only slightly for a good portion until Trump spoke at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern time, and then things really seemed to ramp up and a lot of action started really coming
out. The gains got as high as 1%, and again, so sellers came into the market late, but we're still in a confirmed uptrend, and it seems like every day we're talking about a lot of stocks acting well, and breakouts everywhere you look, and stocks finding support at the 10-week moving average, so things still looking pretty good.
And indexes at their highs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start getting into some of the stocks. So Trex, I always want to say T-Rex because I've got a 5-year-old, and so now this is we saw a lot of action in a lot of the home builders early, and also some of the kind of related products, construction, and T-Rex is with the wood alternative paneling and decking and things like that. So what was happening with Trex? This is a strong breakout here.
Yeah, I really did not see any news on Trex today, but it was a very strong technical breakout. We've been seeing some breakouts lately in light volume, but certainly not the case with Trex. This was a heavy volume move over a very clear buy point here, and so this was just one of many strong breakouts in the market today. We're seeing plenty of them, broad-based leadership, and Trex. It was interesting to see Trex's move because we had some home builders moving early. This is sort of an ancillary home building play, but Lennar and Toll Brothers were strong early, gave back early gains, but a good solid showing for Trex today.
Yeah, and on IBD Live we were talking about the ETF Nail, which is triple leveraged on some of the construction related home builders, and a lot of home builders are in that as well. So that's a 93.73 buy point from that flat base. Moving on to Five9, we saw a lot of computer software enterprise stocks, and this is one that has been on our radar for a while. This is kind of a little bit of a stair stepper. We're going to show a weekly chart on this one just to kind of show how this kind of breaks out, kind of flattens out, makes another base, breaks out, flattens out, makes another base, and do you think this is going to be the case again? Yeah,
well, it could be. It's really interesting watching the software sector work here because just a few weeks ago we were saying, well, there's only really a few stocks left standing in this group. There was Paylocity and Paycom and ServiceNow. But now we're starting to see more software stocks join the ranks of breakouts. So Five9, the latest. This is a call center, cloud-based call center software. But good solid move for the stock today. And again, the ranks of enterprise software breakouts seems to be expanding here, and Five9, stair steppers. What we mean by a stair stepper is when a stock breaks out and it just manages kind of an okay gain. It's not really an explosive gain from the breakout, but it breaks out, moves sideways, breaks out, moves sideways, breaks out, moves just like it's kind of stepping higher. So Five9 has the look of that, but hey, you bought this stock 2-3 years ago, you're sitting on a really solid gain.
And a lot of times we talk about the base on base structure when it doesn't make 20% progress between the bases, then it's kind of like all part of one structure. Now this one just keeps on, making those slight gains and then moving on. And again, as you said, the group was so strong, it was almost difficult for us to choose one out of so many that were breaking out today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got ServiceNow on leaderboard, which is definitely one of the leaders in the group. And one thing we've been saying all along about the software stocks is there's still a very bullish fundamental story driving a lot of stocks in this group. Not only Five9, but several other names that have been moving nicely higher of late.
Absolutely, and it wasn't just tech that was involved, as we talked about. Trex was in there, and also Kansas City Southern had a very significant breakout on volume today, as it got above a 157.08 buy point. Now this has a lot of tight trading and very strong move.
Yeah, this is another solid breakout. I think we're going to hear from Kansas City Southern next week, if I'm not mistaken, late next week when it reports earnings. So this is just a good, solid, breakout from a flat base. You can see the sideways movement on the chart here. It comes close to its 50-day moving average, and a good, solid breakout over a very clear buy point. Heavy volume too. So stock had a nice heavy volume move Tuesday. More heavy volume in the stock today as it clears the buy point. So Kansas City Southern, again, broad-based leadership in this stock market. A lot of different stocks and a lot of different industry groups are working.
And this one tends to be a little bit of a slower mover. That flat base was a lot of tight action in there, and only down 6% at its worst in that flat base.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to see in a flat base is sort of kind of erratic trading. I mean, typically we like to see a flat base maybe correct no more than 8 to 12% off our high. This was really tight. It hardly didn't even correct 8%. I don't think. So this was just good, tight, sideways trading, classic flat base action, and a good breakout.
Yeah, okay. That's going to do it for us today. We will be keeping track of all of the action that's going on tomorrow as things unfold with the U.S.-Iran tensions. But you might want to also check out IBD Live, because we'll be talking about things in the morning. That first hour of trade can be so important. So you might want to try a trial at investors.com/IBD Live and kind of get our take. Ken, you were on there this morning. I was handling Q&A. We've got 4 people, kind of all discussing what they're seeing. So it's kind of a way to get in the cockpit with us and see what's going on.
I mean, a lot of questions pouring in every show, but we, like you said, we get things started at 9:20 a.m. Eastern time every morning, about 10 minutes before the market open, and we go, a full hour after that. So
and then some sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you want to see when you're in a confirmed uptrend like we are, and listen, we've been hearing a lot about a market that's being overbought and names like Tesla being overbought, but all the while we're really seeing pretty darn healthy action in growth stocks. So I mean, even the market can come in a little bit, and most likely it's not going to do much damage to some of these really strong charts. So things looking still pretty good.
Yeah, and speaking of IBD Live, one of the panelists, Mike Webster, who's recently joined IBD, he's going to be on a podcast with Arusha. That will be dropping tomorrow. That's the Investing with IBD podcast. So definitely make sure you check that out. Mike Webster always has great insights. And you can find details at that in investors.com/podcast. You can find that on the investors.com homepage under Learn, or wherever you get your podcasts. Definitely worth tuning in when that drops tomorrow. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.